This is Dennis Donahue back with another community conversation with a couple of folks that I've really enjoyed getting to know along the campaign trail this go around. Joey and Lupe Martinez, thanks for joining me today.
Thank you for having us.
Yeah, no, I'm excited, and I want to talk a little bit about, before we started recording, we were talking a little bit about what really makes Salinas tick, and what a unique and I think special community this is, because there are folks like you in the community and doing a lot of things. Our business model is the community working together, and whether it's business, the nonprofits, a lot of folks look to City Hall for things, and that's appropriate. But the reality, in my mind, what makes the community go are the great organizations and events and nonprofits, and I think you two. We're going to let you embody the best of Salinas. There are so many others that do that, but today you get to represent them all. So let's start with the sort of activities you're involved in, and then also just growing up and being from Salinas and what that's all about for each of you. Okay. So we'll do ladies first.
Ladies first. Thank you for having us here, Dennis. It's our pleasure, especially being. For me, being born and raised here in Salinas all my life. So I was born and raised partly in East Salinas. West Salinas is where I spent the majority of my time. Once we got married, we lived in North Salinas, and now we live in South Salinas. So we've basically covered all of Salinas.
You've covered the city.
Exactly,
Okay. Right.
Exactly. And for me, myself, since a young age, we were brought up to always be helpful. And I think that's what's got me to be who I am today, and what I do. Part of it is because of the jobs I've had here in Salinas, which we have such a wide variety of jobs available in Salinas. The thing is just finding what fits you and your personality, which I've been lucky. That my jobs have taken me all over Salinas, and not just Salinas, all of Monterey County. So I've gotten to see a lot of the residents in town, worked with a lot of residents, worked with a lot of nonprofits, which I'm really proud to say we have so many organizations here in Salinas that makes us the city that we are. A lot of nonprofits that help not just persons individually, but the community as a whole. And Joey and I are kind of a tag team where, since we've been married, we've volunteered for many, many organizations. We've done, especially with our kids, everything from elementary school PTAs, little leagues, softball,
High school football.
high school football, high school. Yeah, on to other community organizations like the California Rodeo. We've participated with the Air Show, and we are currently Commander and Madam President of an American Legion.
Okay.
So those are just a few of the things, and Joey's got more too.
Yeah. No. And it sounds like you're getting ready for Veterans Day.
Yes, we are. She's already said everything.
Well,
she's already pretty much said everything that I would say. I wasn't born here, but I was raised here.
All right, there you go. But just in case she missed anything, feel free to.
Well, I mean, I don't think that anything she hadn't said isn't what we've been doing, or either one of us. I think more on the aspect when we got together, I think I got even more involved in the community, and actually a sense of just having a sense of being a citizen here and doing the right things and helping people, or organizations that needed our help. So that's been a plus for me. I think I didn't get any of that drive until after I got. You mentioned Veterans Day after I got out of the Marine Corps. So, but
what and I'm curious, out of all of the activities, and you've done a lot, and it sounds like you're always busy. And this may not be a fair question, but I want to say, any favorites, but that's the wrong way to ask it because they're all terrific and you wouldn't get involved. But does anything stand out in particular? Is that a fair question?
It'll be a fair question, and not to be biased, but I guess to me the rodeo is huge. It's my heart. It's one of my passions. I love rodeo. I love the fact that we're one of the top 12 now, or I think in 9. See, corrected it. It's good to have. Somebody told me behind every great man is an even greater woman. Yeah. So,
so you'll sign up. Well, I certainly am in the club of married better than I deserve. So
that's me too.
Yeah,
so.
There you go. All right.
But anyway, yeah, no, I would have to say the California Rodeo would be my favorite. I do love being a part of the Legion because it's an opportunity to share experiences with my brothers and sisters. Who served in the military along with me as well. But I've also loved, the different events, different organizations, Little League. Gosh, if my legs could handle it, I'd still probably be doing Little League too, coaching and umpiring. So, I mean, but to be fair, rodeo right now, at this point, in this juncture in my life, rodeo would have to be the one.
How about you?
Kind of the same. We are very involved with the California Rodeo Association. We love the sport, and 2, we love that the association has other events besides rodeo. Like currently, we're planning our Cowboy Christmas is in the works.
Okay,
that'll be in December. But honestly, I think any event that involves children or families.
Yes.
We're there. Even if we're not members of that organization, if someone calls us up and says, hey, we're having this event for kids, what do you need? We're there, especially because we have such a young community in Salinas, and we always like to see that there's events that are family oriented, because that's what we need, and that's what keeps our community so close, that we do have family oriented events. And a lot of them are free or try to be free.
Right.
And that's one of the things, too, that we like that the city of Salinas offers, that there are events put on by the city, not just the nonprofits, that are geared towards families.
Yeah. No, the city does. I think they do a pretty good job on programming.
Yes.
Out of through parks. My dad used to be the recreation parks director, so I probably haven't moved beyond that in terms of what I call the department, but they do a good job.
And then we've been lucky because our kids have gone through several of the sports programs through the recreation department. Right. We worked with several of the events in the city through some of our nonprofits that we work with. We've partnered with the city to work. For many years, I was on the committee that brought El Grito and the El Grito Parade for over 25 years.
Okay. Well,
so, that's a big event.
That is a big event.
That we were very grateful that we were able to work with the city to bring that event around and brought to the city, which that's the other thing that we're very lucky in Salinas. We have so many different cultures and so many events that bring out the different cultures in Salinas that we can all learn from.
Well, and what's important and I think impressive about those high-profile events, and I think the rodeo is a great example of, on a year-to-year basis to maintain the volunteer continuity. Everyone kind of knows their roles. That's tough to set up, but once you get it, preserving that on a year-to-year basis is. I think impressive.
I'm glad to be a part of that. I'm actually the chairman and director for Volunteer Services.
Okay,
so.
There you go. Well, the thing that I think that is important about everything you laid out is, in many respects, that's kind of the business model of Salinas. I mean, certainly the thing I've observed where folks have done well, they're pretty unfailingly generous in giving back to the community, and that makes a lot of these things possible. Certainly, City Hall and the government can do some things, but fundamentally, if you look at our community and the nature of our events, it's really a very clear combination business prosperity, nonprofits, 501c3s, working on behalf of the entire community, and that's kind of the business model.
The most definitely, I think with one without the other is doesn't work, and I think Lupe touched on this good is that we're such a diverse community, even though we are 80% Latino, but there's a lot of different cultures here that
Yeah.
till now we've been able to coexist, and that's what I think everybody in Salinas wants, or at least those who seek the best for our city, which I think the majority of people out there,
I agree
you
with
question
that.
them.
Yeah.
I think they all have the same kind of goals, or should I say, they have the same vision as everybody else. We all just want to thrive and be a community that other communities look at and say, wow, look at Salinas.
Yeah, no,
So,
I've always kind of liked the phrase or the concept, one city, many traditions.
Yeah.
And that's who I think we really are. Well, thinking about Salinas, so we've talked about the good things of Salinas. Just as you kind of think about the city, just in terms of your experience, observations on behalf of your kids and grandkids, what's important to you right now in terms of the city?
I think the important thing to me is that there be places for children to go and like parks.
Right.
Parks are definitely are a big one. I know our daughter, who has 4 kids, that's one of her big things is parks. We definitely need to do something about the parks in the city, and some of them have been refurbished, or should I say, made a little bit better. But I think it needs to be a citywide thing now. It just can't be one area or.
Yeah. No. It's interesting. I was talking to one of the soccer folks. From a demand standpoint, I mean, she lined out. You could use 40 more soccer fields in this city. You could use X amount of more baseball fields in this city. So so more green space, more open space, opportunities to play the various sports. Because this is a city that likes sports and takes it pretty seriously. Yeah. So no, I think that's a big issue on a go forward basis. And part of that is I think we're going to have to be a little. Certainly, these conversations take place from time to time, but I think they need to be more in earnest. Talking with the schools and beginning to address some of because the public just wants to play, and all they know is they're paying taxes for both of them.
Right.
So it's kind of like, hey, can you figure this out? So I think we're going to have to have some of those kind of conversations.
Well, I think Dennis, you could agree with me on this one. Is that it's great. I mean, we're talking about that. It's great to be able to have it if we had the space, but as you know, and we all know, we're surrounded by what keeps this city going,
right,
and what this city was built on, which is agriculture.
Right.
So sometimes building out kind of it's kind of tough. So it's a challenge. I'm pretty sure for the city council that
it's not easy, which is why if your first play may be can you sit down with the school districts and work out some of the very legitimate issues that need to be worked out. But we do have a future growth area, but the bottom line is, to your point, this is still fundamentally a young city, young families, and those types of amenities are really important and need to be addressed.
That and affordable housing, right?
Affordable housing. The good news is the future growth area is starting to get off untracked, and that's going to be important. But when we're downtown right now, there's starting to be a little housing downtown. So whether it's infill housing, but you're right, the housing thing. The big challenge we have is we're an ag-based economy, to your point, but we're clearly under the economic umbrella of a tech-based economy in terms of cost structures, and that's created a huge challenge for the community.
A definite disparity between
right.
what's affordable and what's not.
There's no question that's an issue, and that's gonna require a lot of attention.
Oh yeah, exactly. Because we have so many folks now that work in the Silicon Valley, but are now starting to live down this way.
Right.
Where before it was like, okay, they'll go to Morgan Hill,
Right.
Gilroy.
Right.
Then they started getting into Hollister, and now they're starting to come down into Salinas.
Well, I besides growing vegetables, we need to diversify our economy and grow wages. That's one point of attack. But that's one of the reasons I wanted to run for mayor again. Too many, my own son included, left the area because he just said, "Dad, I don't do $800,000 in 1,500 square feet. It's not happening."
Yeah.
And I've just heard too many stories of young people that feel like they don't have an economic future here, and that gets very personal all of a sudden.
Oh, yeah.
Because I don't get to see a granddaughter growing up, and I actually like my son, and I miss him, and so you want to keep families together.
Right.
So one of I think I can make a difference in the economic trajectory of the city. So that was one of the things that appealed to me about interested me in terms of running for office. But we need to improve the odds of folks feel that that they have a future in Salinas, their hometown.
Exactly, and that's one of the other reasons a lot of young families have moved away from here because they can't afford to live here.
Right.
And like you said, it's sad because you don't get to see your children, your grandchildren, because they're not in the area because they can't afford to be here.
Yeah, no, it that gets really, really, really personal. And the thing I know is so many of our young people, this is exactly where they want to be. So and the other thing that's important is and we talked earlier where it's terrific that we have a major industry here, and then that's the setup for a lot of service industries, and I think the whole ag tech thing, I talk about that a lot, not so much the ag piece, though that's obviously important, but if ag is the setup for tech is the setup for diversification and new opportunities. And Salinas really relies on a successful business community giving back to the community. So we really have to take this issue of economic development, economic opportunity very, very, very seriously to kind of continue the way of life as we know it.
Yeah, well, even in the ag industry, you see so many new ways of doing business where they are getting into a lot of new technology. And I know quite a few of the ag companies here are starting to get into that. The good thing, too, is that we have a college here, a community college, that is now also starting to teach classes in technology that has to work with ag. Our son was lucky that he went through a program at Hartnell that taught about some of the new systems that were coming into ag, and going through that program, he was able to get a job, a good job, and able to stay here.
Exactly.
But that's one of the other things that just recently I ran into a former little leaguer that we coached, and he played football with our son, and he went out to college and came back. Now he has his doctorate, and he's principal at a local school.
Oh, okay.
So I asked, why did you come back? He goes, I was born and raised here. Yeah. He says, I had to come back and give back to what was good to me.
Yeah, no, home is home, and that's for sure. But the terrific thing about this area, we have our challenges, but it's very impressive. Hartnell in many respects has been really a national model. With their computer science program with CSUMB, the 3-year degree, the mechatronics program. UC Santa Cruz has now become a land grant university. So there's a lot of really impressive academic work being done to help prepare for the future. So I'm really optimistic about that. That's going to be very beneficial to the community. The trick is we got to get more jobs. But to your point, and to your son's, where you upgrade your skills, you're going to have an opportunity for higher wages and a better opportunity to deal with the cost of living here. So I think that's the right dynamic to to continue to encourage and support. So from that standpoint, we're fortunate that folks are trying to address it, and at least we're cutting edge, so to speak, in terms of what we're doing. So I think that's good news.
Well, I will say this, that I'm glad you're running, because you had a very good track record as a past mayor. You have the experience. You know how the city runs. You know the dynamic. And I don't think that your other candidates have that. So that's why, I got to say, that's why you got my vote.
Well, and I appreciate that. And one of the things, did I get your vote?
Yes, and
Just checking,
as a
'cause she has the last word. I'm thinking. Yeah.
well, as a business owner too, you recognize that these are, you can see what are some of the things that the city has to do to make sure that we do keep businesses in the area, because we have so many businesses that are leaving, and especially a lot of our small local businesses. They do need a lot of support, and a lot of support from the city also. And I know there's permits that need to be business license. That's normal business, but when it comes to a small business owner, having a look at what those fees are for the businesses, that sometimes it's hard for when you don't have the clientele coming into your business, then you can't afford to pay those fees, and the next thing you know, you're closing your doors.
Right. Well, it's easy to be enamored with shiny objects. Let's go get a big player that hires lots of people, and certainly we want to do that where we can. But it's really important to be supportive of businesses that are already here.
I think it's very important that you do that, because the thing is, that's how this city came about.
Yeah.
You think about it, she's lived here all her life, but when I came here, I lived in East Salinas, and it was the time when you had a lot of people from Oklahoma, from all over, and they worked the fields. But from all those people came the gin's markets, which gin doesn't exist anymore.
Right.
But all those businesses came from that era, and some of them are still around. Heck, I think Lupe even worked at one. What was that clothing store you worked at? It was right there.
Sid's Department.
Sid's
Store.
Department Store.
Okay, I remember
there
that.
You go.
Yeah.
Sid's. These are all businesses that started in this community. We didn't have well, we did, but I'm just saying at the time, I don't remember there being a Sears Roebuck here until later on, till they opened up Northridge.
And South Main.
South Main, that's right.
In Valley Center.
Yeah, okay.
Before there was Northridge, there was Sears
Center.
and Valley Center.
Down
and that was the regional hub.
Yeah.
No, I always remember, I think I have this right, but I think even Leon Panetta used to talk about his dad would load him up in the station wagon. They'd come over from Carmel. And Sears was the destination.
Yes.
We were the mall. We were the center. So
3 floors. That the basement, the main floor, and then the second floor.
No, in fact, if you remember
there.
that, and I mean, I'm trying to remember that block, because we also had Woolworth there. You could buy ice cream, and
there was a store called Baby News.
That's right. I remember
that was right down here, wasn't it? On the 200 block.
Well, Baby News was down by.
No, but I'm saying
Valley
Woolworth.
Center.
Valley
Woolworth
Center.
was in a 200 block, wasn't it?
No, I think Woolworth's was right next door to, or it was in the same area.
in the same Valley Center.
It's where where Compass Church
Compass
is.
Church is
Yeah.
now.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
That was
It
where the
was-
quadrangle's at.
Yeah,
where
right
the
in there.
quadrangle.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah, so
But again, my point was that back then you saw more local businesses, and they thrived.
Yeah.
It wasn't until the city started growing a little bit more.
Well, most people don't realize this, but on a per capita basis, and if I get corrected, but I think it's been verified a number of times, we were in 1928, I think that was the year, we were the wealthiest per capita city in the country. So that was before the Depression. Now that was on the strength of a regional business going national, and the innovation at the time was top icing lettuce cards. So what became it shifted from regional to national, and that really put Salinas on the map. And we had X amount of and I think we had 3 or 4 movie theaters, an opera house. So there was a lot going on here.
Yeah, we had the El Rey, the Fox. I remember as a kid going to La Plaza Theater. That was another theater that we used to go
Yeah,
to.
and you mentioned Jen's. You go out to the the Skyview Drive-In,
And the Skyview Drive-In,
yeah.
and then
The
the one on
Salinas.
Market Street,
Yeah.
the Salinas Drive-In.
Yeah.
I remember getting in the trunk to get into the booth, so we wouldn't have to pay until they started charging you by the
Okay, I
car.
think the statute of limitations is
It's
expired.
over.
So we're good.
I
We're
can
not going to
say
get in
that.
trouble, right, Don?
Yeah, you can talk about it if you want.
Exactly,
Yeah,
exactly.
But see, these are the memories I think that people, maybe if you didn't grow up, your parents did,
Right,
or your
right.
grandparents did, could talk to you about how we came from such a tight knit community to what we have now, and I don't, like I said, I don't think the people that were around in that time, they don't want to lose that, and it kind of feels like we're losing that.
Yeah, it's been kind of interesting moving around the community. This is very much a quality of life election. People are talking about potholes and sidewalks, as they should. But yeah, there is kind of a certain malaise, so to speak, that feel, to your point, folks feel like they might be losing something in terms of quality of life, and so we need to get that back because I really do think this is a special city and a special spot.
And I think it starts with understanding cultures, understanding people, and understanding the what brought this town about. And to me, I allude to it all the time. To me, the ag industry is what built this city. I remember, and she could tell you the same. I'm pretty sure you could tell me too. I remember the time when you seen horses. Wasn't uncommon to see them downtown.
Oh yeah.
And it was, again, I grew up around the city around that time, and
Right.
It was like that was neat. And,
Well,
but then again, we've grown.
That's right.
So-
But you both have mentioned the rodeo, and I grew up when for 2 straight weeks, if you were downtown,
Yep.
you were wearing Western.
Oh
wear.
yeah.
I mean, you really were.
And we love to bring that back.
I think that's a great
I
tradition.
think we've talked about that in marketing meetings and how we can bring that culture back.
I think that's a great idea.
Yeah.
I
And
like
that's
that
one good thing about events like that. It brings people from all types of nationalities
Right.
to it, because it's just the whole thing about the events that are involved, the way people dress, what they eat. It's like, I don't want to see a steak for at least a month after
Yeah,
big week
that's
because
right.
of
Not me.
Yeah, okay, all right.
because of all the barbecuing
Right,
that goes on and so
right,
forth.
right.
But I think it goes back to the cultures. There's so many cultures that contributed to that.
Right.
So, because like we got, what is it, the Bill Pickett? Bill Pickett
Yeah. well,
Rodeo that likes to come and participate at ours, which is an African American rodeo.
Okay.
We have, because I do work the information booth, we have a lot of people that come from all over the world.
France.
Really?
France, Italy, Switzerland, Japan.
Well, we're going to start finishing up, but as you talk about that, where else is there a cowboy culture? That I know Hawaii has one. We don't talk a lot about that.
No.
Obviously, a big one in Mexico. Where else do you see kind of a
We have it throughout the United States. We're starting to get a lot of people from Brazil because we have a lot of Brazilian competitors.
Right.
But I think what attracts a lot of people to ours is the area that we're in.
Okay.
We're in the middle of California. You got the sun. You just, not only the rodeo, you got a couple miles down the road, you got a beach. You go another way, you
Right.
got a forest that you can go hiking in. You go down another way, you've got a valley that you can just drive through.
Vineyards.
We've got the vineyards in those valleys that they can go wine tasting.
Right.
So you get a little bit of different types of activities, even though you're coming to the one main one, which is the rodeo. We have so many other activities, and that's the one good thing too, that Salinas has the welcome center that people can go to
Right.
and get information of, okay, we're here in Salinas, where else can I go? And even in Salinas, we have the Steinbeck Center. Have you visited the Steinbeck Center?
Right.
The Rodeo has a museum. Have you been to the museum at the California Rodeo?
That's a great little museum. I like that museum.
It's a wonderful
nice one.
museum. We have so many other local things that we have.
And even though they're somewhat controversial and not universally beloved, we even have Klaus Ollenberg's hats.
Yeah, yes, we do.
We do.
Still have the hats.
Yeah, and God only knows I caught a little flack for the hats, but I actually met Klaus Ollenberg and spent the afternoon with him in his flat. But the reality is, he was a global player, of the same stature in that world of an Andy Warhol, and there aren't that many pieces in the world, and Salinas has one. So what's interesting to me is we've got two global iconic players in the arts and the letters, and Ollenberg and Steinbeck. So
we have the Steinbeck House that people can go take tours. So we do have a lot of things.
There's a lot going on here
that are happening here in Salinas, and the thing is just making sure that we have the leaders that will keep working to make sure that people know about this and help keep those things going, so people can still come and visit. Spend their dollars here.
That's right.
They got to spend their dollars here.
And that's what it comes down to is Lupe touched on a lot of it. We got a lot of tourists that come here. Well, guess what? Tourist dollars.
Right.
So they spend in the hotels,
right. Yeah.
in the restaurants, hopefully to local businesses.
Right.
Right. And they enjoy our area.
Yeah. And that's how we get the resources to deal with the challenges everybody's concerned about. So, it sounds like it's fair to say you are Salinas fans.
Yes.
And really and maybe kind of your last thoughts, and obviously what you do is important to each of you and each of you together as a couple, but I know you think a lot about the future for your kids and your grandkids. Why is getting Salinas right important right now? Because I really think we're kind of at a moment we need to make the right choice.
For me, I think getting it right means, it's critical. We're at a very critical stage in Salinas history, because we're looking at a failing infrastructure. We're looking at failing schools. We're looking at failing housing. We're looking at so many things that, it's a lot when you think about it. But I think we need the leadership that's going to be able to take it by the horns and do the right thing and make the right decisions for its citizens. Not just one group of citizens, because, again, I talked 80% Latino, but we need to think it's the city as a whole, because we have Chinese Americans, we have Filipino Americans, we have just about every ethnicity out there.
Right.
And we need to think of Salinas as a whole, and in that aspect, and that leader or those leaders that come in need to be able to look at it from that aspect.
Okay, good words, Lupe. We're going to give you the final word. I'm going to guess that may be how it works.
Kind of.
Yeah, no, I was just guessing. I wasn't sure.
And I agree with everything Joey says, but the thing is too, our children are adults, so they're going to be making the choices. But the thing too is that we want to see our grandchildren to know Salinas the way we know Salinas, and how we grew up in Salinas, being able to feel safe, being able to know that I can go down to City Hall and talk to someone and know that I'm going to get an answer to whatever my issue is, not just mine, my neighbors, the city as a whole, making sure that there's that conversation that they're not just going to go to City Hall and they'll say, well, call this phone number.
Right.
And leave a message, that there is somebody there that will listen.
Yeah.
And hopefully that infrastructure that gets put in, or whoever's going to be there, works together to make sure that we have the great Salinas that we know it can be.
Yeah. good words, good work by both of you in the city on a routine basis. So,
And I would say that to be happy enough to want to come stay here and volunteer.
there you go.
Be involved.
Be involved.
There you
Be
go.
involved.
Important words, and that's what makes Salinas tick. So
Yes.
thanks for your time this afternoon.
Oh, thanks for having us.
Thank you,
no,
Dennis.
we appreciate it. Look forward to seeing you in all of your activities,
Yes.
and in particular, Veterans Day coming up. I'm
Coming
pleased
up.
my son's banner is just outside the El Rey
Oh,
Theater.
nice.
So,
Oh, wow, nice.
So he's there, and so we're looking forward to November
Yeah.
11th. So thanks for joining us.
Thank you.
That's it.